Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Secrets to Real Estate Investing. We have with us a seasoned pro, Mr. Jay Conner, and this gentleman has been buying and selling houses for 14 years and a population of only 40,000 people with profits averaging 64,000. I'm super impressed with that. He's rehabbed over 300 houses and been involved in over $52 million in transactions. This guy has such a wealth of knowledge to share, and he's going to talk a lot about private money today and how that can help you as a real estate investor. So with that, welcome to the show, Jay Conner.
Thank you so much, Holly. I'm excited to be here with you, and I just appreciate so much the opportunity to share this information about how other real estate investors like myself can really get unlimited funding for their deals, regardless of their credit or income.
Well, I'm really excited about it, and I'm a huge fan of private money. I've definitely transitioned away from hard money for the most part into private money, so I can't wait to learn from you today. So why don't you start out by telling us your backstory and your background?
Sure. So my wife, Carol Joy, and I here in Eastern North Carolina have been investing in single-family houses for 14 years. And so starting out, I really only read a book or two. And so the first house I looked for, I actually looked in the Homes magazine when realtors actually used to publish monthly magazines.
Oh, yeah.
This was all before, the online, explosion of the internet, etc. So somebody had told me, Jay, you need to find the ugliest, nastiest smelling house that you can find that's going to run everybody else off, and you need that house. Well, let me tell you, I found it. So this house had been shown over 60 times. It had been in the MLS for 90 days. And bear in mind, 14 years ago, if you could fog a mirror, you could get money back then. And I was surprised somebody bought this house. So anyway, I negotiated the deal, bought this little single family house, or got it under contract for $50,000. And the after repaired value was going to be $140,000. I knew I was going to have to put an additional $50,000 in it to rehab it. So I had a $40,000 spread. Well, I tell you, Holly, I was so excited about having my first house under contract that I went and got Carol Joy. I said, babe, you got to come ride with me and look at this house. Well, I couldn't even get Carol Joy out of the driveway to look at this house. She was so scared. And so then, well, at least my dad will look at it with me. So then I went and got my dad, took him over there. He did get out of the driveway, but he walked inside the front door. He gagged. He looked at me and he says, son, have you lost your mind? The good news is I hadn't lost my mind. Went and closed on it, put $50,000 in it. Bear in mind at this time, I was funding the deal with an unsecured line of credit. Again, fog a mirror, get money. So into this story very quickly, or the beginning of my career, I cashed out in 60 days, pocketed $40,000. I like this business. So my first year I did 3 houses, just wanting to make sure I could understand the rehabbing process and marketing, etc. So fast forward the first 6 years of my career. So I back up until 8.5 years ago. I was funding all of my deals, like that one, with lines of credit at the bank. So I remember...
Hey, let me ask you, what was your interest rate that you paid for those lines of credit at the bank, if I may ask?
Yeah, 14 years ago, it was 7%. So it wasn't bad,
Okay.
It wasn't bad. It was the local bank. It wasn't a hard money lender. So we'll talk about hard money if you want to here in a moment. And so I call up my banker, Holly, standing right here in this office, right behind this chair, 8 years ago. And I get Steve on the phone, my banker. I tell Steve about 2 deals I've got under contract, going to have over $100,000 in profit on these 2 deals. And this is the same conversation I'd had many, 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 many times for 6 years. and there was dead silence on the other end,
Uh-oh.
which is never a good sign. Steve cleared his throat. I remember exactly what he said. He says, Jay, I'm sorry, but the bank has collapsed your line of credit. Well, I knew collapsing a line of credit didn't sound good, but I didn't know what it was. I said, Steve, what do you mean you have collapsed my line of credit? He says, Jay, we're just not loaning money out to real estate investors anymore. The first thought was, it sure would have been nice to know that before I got earnest money tied up. And then secondly, my thought was, what am I going to do? Well, let me tell you something. My definition of coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. And in less than 2 weeks, I was introduced to this wonderful world of private money. And so in less than 90 days from being cut off from the banks, I was able to attract and raise $2,150,000 in private money. So it was a blessing in disguise. My banker, by cutting me off, actually gave me a raise because now I've got more lines of credit than I did at the bank. And so since that time, Holly, I have not missed out on a deal because I did not have the money.
Wow, that is awesome. You know, so I've had times where a rug has been pulled out from under me, like, okay, do I give up? Do I go crawl in bed and put the covers over my head and say game over? No, I'm like, okay, so my resources are pulled out from me. It's time to get resourceful. Where can I go? I ask myself the questions. How can I solve the problem? Where can I go for money? Where can I go for this and that? And you definitely did that. I'm impressed. And what a blessing. Well, keep telling us more about that.
Sure. So I got the private money lined up, had all this money pledged. And so, as I said, I haven't missed out on a deal. I buy a lot of course, I buy a lot of bank-owned properties. In the market today, Holly, I'm really not getting most of my deals from bank-owned properties. Recently in the market, they're like really high priced. And of course, in a lot of areas across the nation, there's just a lot of competition on bank-owned properties with other real estate investors. So Carol Joy and I developed this foreclosure system where we track every notice of default when someone's been served in our area. And I mean, we are only in a 40,000 population area. And we track them. And then I also developed an 8-letter campaign where we direct mail these people before they go to sale. So my intention is to reach out and offer solutions to these people that are in financial distress, give them some money to help them move on. I get a 57% response to these letters, which is crazy. But it's because it's 8 letters and the message to market is perfect. So I buy about 25% of our houses from tracking them with the foreclosure system.
That is incredible. So I'm assuming as you reach out, you're offering solutions other than you buying the house right up front. You're not like, I know you're losing your house and I'm going to take it from you at pennies on the dollar. It's a total opposite of that. You're coming from probably a place of concern and compassion. But because you do that, then who do they turn to when they can't solve the problem? They're going to have you right there that they trust, right?
You read my mind. You must have ESPN. So here's the deal. We send the letters. When they respond, one of our first questions is, would you like to keep your house? Would you stay in your house? And we have 10 different ways that they can keep them. Unfortunately, because they're behind on payments, most of the time they don't have the finances to keep them or whatever. But when we help them keep their house and talk about deferment payment programs with their lender and et cetera, when they keep it, we don't make 1 penny off of that. But you know what my philosophy is? If I help enough other people get what they want, I don't have to worry about me and my team.
Yep. Amen, brother. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, tell us more. And I know this is backtracking a little bit, but when you found the private money, tell us more what that is, what that looks like,
Sure.
How it's different from hard money, and where you found your money to get those deals. Exactly.
So first, let me define, as you just alluded to, my definition of a private lender. So a private lender is simply an individual just like you, just like me, just like your listeners and viewers here on your show. It's an individual that loans their money out to a real estate investor, entrepreneur, either from their investment capital or from their retirement funds. You know, I didn't even heard anything about self-directed IRAs until 8 years ago when I started raising private money. And oh my word, what a world. I became a private lender myself with my retirement funds by moving my retirement funds to a self-directed IRA. The reason for me and for my students across the nation it's so important to learn about self-directed IRAs is because right now, Carol Joy and I have got 45 private lenders, individuals, funding our deals, and over half of them are using their retirement funds, and they never heard about private money, never heard about self-directed IRAs until I told them about it. So they transferred their funds tax-free, penalty-free to a self-directed IRA company, and now over half of them fund our deals from their self-directed IRA.
That's awesome. I've been a lender from self-directed IRA and a self-directed, I believe it's called HSA, Health Savings Account.
Yeah.
I mean, these two little accounts only had 15,000 each in them for a total of 30 grand, which I can't do too much exciting stuff with in the stock market. And I don't even want to, try and learn about, the best way to do that. But I do know about real estate. So I definitely loaned mine to a real estate investor too to do that. What a great opportunity.
Yeah. So part of that definition, if I may take a moment, part of that definition of being a private lender, let's talk about who I'm not talking about. So I'm not talking about hard money lenders. Now, I'm not slamming hard money lenders. There's a lot of them out there, and, they have funded millions of deals for real estate investors that didn't know about private money. So hard money is a middle person or is a brokerage. And all they're doing is they're buying and selling money, okay? Or they're being a broker of the money. So a private lender, what I teach, and Carol Joy and I do 35 live events all across the nation every year. Got one coming up next week. And so what we teach is how to go straight to the source of getting the funding for your deals. It's the same sources that the hard money lender goes to. In fact, there are hard money lenders now across the nation that use my materials and my teaching on how to raise private money because it's the same thing, to either build their brokerage or to go to the source. So there's two main categories of getting private money. One is people that are in your own warm market, your own centers of influence, people you've got some kind of relationship with. All those contacts in your cell phone, they are a potential private lender, or they know somebody that may be a private lender. On the other hand, and the other source on private money is existing private lenders. So real quick, how do you find existing private lenders? One way is to network at self-directed IRA events. There's a lot of individuals at those events that have money in their retirement accounts and they don't know what to do with it. So it's our ethical and moral responsibility to fix their problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So, and then real quick, when I say not hard money, real quick, the national average that a hard money lender will advance on purchase price is 80% of purchase. We have to come up with the difference. Private money, 100% of purchase and up to 25% of the rehab up front. Interest rates for hard money are averaging 14%. Private money is between 7 and 8%. Origination fees with hard money lenders is averaging 4%. Private money, 0%. There's no fees for renewing with private money. And then beyond that, the access. A hard money lender will put a limit on what you can borrow. We can borrow from unlimited numbers of private lenders, and then there's no credit check. No credit check. Your credit's got nothing to do with borrowing. It's because this, and this is a writer downer. Private money in my world is a collateral loan. It's got nothing to do with your credit, nothing. You can be broke. You can have a 450 credit score, which is pretty low, by the way, because it's the deal that the private lenders are loaning the money based on.
Right. And if I can interject there, you'll also hear it called asset-based lending, because the lender is lending their funds. If it's, say it's an individual like me and I'm loaning my money to Jay, I'm loaning it based on the value of the home that he's borrowing the money against, rather than his credit score or his salary or his W-2, nothing like that. I am looking at the value of the asset. So asset-based lending, that's another term for this, which hard money lenders are the same. They're in the same strategy category. They're loaning based on that, but plenty of them will ask for a credit report, and plenty of them, it'll be a lot more restrictive. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. And the blessing of private money, I mean, right now, Carol Joy and I have almost $6 million from our private money lenders, and we just move it from house to house. I mean, right now, we have 12 houses that are either under rehab in our small market, that are either under rehab or we've just put them on the market. Now, I'll tell you, a lot of our, oops, sorry about that. I dropped the phone. Hang on.
Okay.
let me get you back.
Good save.
There you go. So a lot of our exit strategies, we sell a lot of homes on rent to own, lease option selling, because Holly, I know 80% of Americans today still can't go to the bank and get a mortgage. 80%.
Wow.
Even with how booming the market is. And so there's 80% of the people out there that want to enjoy the American dream. They don't think they can. So we'll sell them the home on rent to own. And typically it'll take 6 to 12 months for us to help them raise their credit scores to where they can cash out and we transfer the title over into their name.
Okay. What is the typical loan to value that you keep your loans at? Are your private lenders all the money in the deal, part of the money in the deal? Do you stack one on top of the other? I know I'm asking a few questions, but tell us about your style.
So the maximum loan to value is 75% of the after repaired value.
Okay.
So not 5% of purchase, 75% of the after repaired value. From our existing private lenders, they will max out at 65% of the after repaired value. But since we're buying houses at 30 to 50% of the after repaired value, that's why the math works on us getting 100% funding of the purchase price. Because, for example, if you have an after repaired value of $200,000, of course, I know in California you can't even get an outhouse for $200,000, but here in North Carolina, so we got an after repaired So we got an after repaired value of $200,000 here in Eastern North Carolina. Let's say I buy that house for $100,000. We're going to sell it for $200,000 after repair. So I may borrow from the private lender $125,000 at purchase, get my $25,000 at closing. I get a check. I get paid to buy houses. So I haven't even borrowed 75% of the after repaired value. I'll use that $25,000 on the rehab. And once it's rehab, now the private lender has got a $75,000 equity cushion. So that's the percentage. You asked about stacking? Yes. So existing private lenders pretty much are not interested in stacking. An existing private lender, they always want to be in first position. But I have a number of private lenders in the warm market out of those 45 private lenders that may only have $30,000 to work with or $25,000, that kind of thing. That's my minimum. If you don't have $25,000, I don't have anywhere to put it. So I may buy a property for $100,000, then use one of my warm market private lenders that only has $25,000 to work with. like you were talking about, you got 30,000 in your retirement funds, then I'll take that money, put it in second position, in junior position, disclose to the private lender they are in junior position. But here's the deal. We then add together both loans, the $100,000 purchase, the $25,000 junior lien. So now I have $125,000. So here's the deal. We want to be careful and not go over 75% of the total loan to value. So the total loan to value is adding more than one loan or mortgage together and then dividing by the after repaired value.
Got it. And what kind of interest rates do you pay your lenders? And do first and second position get the same interest rates, or do you vary it depending on how much they invest with you? Because I know those are all variables you can kind of play with also.
Exactly. So all the private lenders in first position, I pay 8%. Now I have some friends that do the negotiating game. Like some of my friends will say, I say friends, other real estate investors that raise private money would say, well, I'm offering a high rate of return. What sounds high to you? And when they say 6%, they don't argue. I don't play that game. Particularly here in my small area. I mean, everybody knows everybody, right? And like, you know, 8 of my private lenders go to church with us. So I'm paying all them people the same thing, 8%. And it's interest only. I don't pay principal and interest because you know what? It helps my cash flow. And the private lender doesn't want principal and interest because if they're getting principal back, they don't have all of their money working.
Right.
So first position, 8%. Second position, 10%.
Okay, I love it. I think you answered those questions. Hey, you know, one of the questions I haven't asked you is like, how do you find private lenders yourself?
Right. So 2 main categories: people in your warm market that you have a relationship with, and then existing private lenders. So let's talk about those existing private lenders for a moment. I already mentioned networking at a self-directed IRA event, but those events are not, you know, necessarily in your hometown. So how do you find existing private lenders without having to go to an event? 2 ways. First way is the hard way that I started doing it 8 years ago. I hired my attorney's paralegal off hours to research public records in our courthouse, looking for mortgages, deeds of trust in our state. Most people call them mortgages. Looking for mortgages that had the lender listed as an individual name and no seller carrybacks, no owner financing, loaning money out secured on a property other than their property. So my paralegal or my attorney's paralegal would find me like maybe one on average a month, one a month. Well, one a month is better than none. So I discovered quickly I needed to develop some software that would go across the nation searching for all mortgages on all public records every month and finding all these private lenders, individuals, getting rid of seller carrybacks, getting rid of owner finance stuff, truly only relevant data. So starting 6 years ago, so now going for 6 years, I've had my own private lender data feed that I also, share with my students. But in this private lender data feed, all you do is you type in the zip code anywhere in the nation. I say start out with your zip code. Type in your zip code and you can search from 25 miles out to 500 miles away from the zip code, and boom, you hit the return button. In a matter of a second, you have got every individual private lender within that search criteria that loaned out money. And so we keep the information current for 4 months, because after 4 months it's sort of getting stale. And then we have what's called gold stars and green stars. Now I like green stars. Green stars were individuals that have loaned out 2 or more private loans in the past year, but I really love the gold stars. Gold stars are individuals that have loaned out more than 5 or more private loans in the past year. And so I've got their contact information, how much money they're loaning out, the loan to values that they're doing. And so then, of course, I have letters and et cetera in the data feed that we mail out to them. You know, we can openly solicit now, Holly, due to 5036B, but I don't openly solicit because if I do, I'm stuck with only borrowing from accredited investors. And so I have letters that just establishes a relationship as people that are interested in real estate investing. And then when they respond, now I can interview them. I don't sell them on my private lending program. I interview them on what they're used to getting and et cetera. So those are the two primary ways.
That's really interesting. Once again, you had a problem or a challenge, not too big, but you wanted more private money.
Yeah.
And you got this awesome solution. That sounds incredible. I love it.
Exactly.
So what do you say to a potential private lender?
Well, let me just share what I've been saying. I mean, I've got multiple scripts, but what I've been saying for the past 8 years when I first learned about private money, I could talk over the phone with them. It's a casual, short conversation. So I can talk with them over the phone or it could be in person. But let's say that I'm calling up a guy named Wayne that's older. I know him in church. I haven't talked to him, personally, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. So I'll call up Wayne. I'll say, hey, Wayne, this is Jay. How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Have a little chit chat. And then I get right to it. And I'll say, Wayne, as you know, I'm investing in real estate these days. And actually, I'm still taking advantage of the tidal wave of foreclosures that are going on. But Wayne, what I'm about to tell you, very few people know about, because the only way they find out is if I tell them. In fact, this is one-on-one from me and by referral only. And then I'll say, Wayne, you see, the only way people find out about this is if I tell them, and here it is, Wayne, I have now opened up my real estate investing business to people that I know and trust. Now let's stop right there. I just told Wayne, we got a relationship. I trust you. You trust me. And then I say, and I've got a program that may or not be for you. So you see, I'm not trying to do any kind of hard sell on Wayne. And then I say, Wayne, I am now paying up to 20 times as much in returns as people can get through traditional resources. What I'm referring to there is CDs. Did you know, I'll do an aside right now, did you know the average 12-month certificate of deposit right now is paying a whopping 0.34% right now? You can track that every Thursday on the front page of the money section in USA Today. In the lower left-hand column in a green box, it'll tell you what the CDs are. But back to the script. I'm now paying up to 20 times as much, not 20%, 20 times as much in returns as people can get through traditional resources. But Wayne, unless you answer yes to the following question, there's no need for me to send you any information. That's called the takeaway. And then I say to Wayne, the question is, Wayne, do you have investment capital or retirement funds that is not giving you high rates of return safely and securely? And then I go quiet, which is sort of hard for me to do. And so then
You and me both, my friend.
So then I go quiet. Well, if Wayne answers no, I know he's broke, because 0.34% is not a high rate of return. But he says yes. I then tell Wayne, I said, well, Wayne, I've got a 16-minute audio that gives a beautiful overview of my program. Notice I don't tell him anything about real estate. I don't tell him anything about private. I let my 16-minute audio called Stress-Free Investing do the job. And of course, CDs are on the way out. So I've converted that to an MP3 and a YouTube link so I can just zap it to them on their smartphone. And so my 16-minute CD just gives an overview of what private money is and private lending, and it leads them to the next step, which is the one-on-one with me, where I do spill the beans and go over my private lending program. And again, this is all to my warm market as to what interest rate I'll pay, how they're protected, how they can get their money back in case they have an emergency, so they're not stuck, and where I'm investing and the term of the notes and etc. Here's what I've discovered, Holly. When they get to the one-on-one, they're in. They just don't know it yet, because they're not going to have a one-on-one with me unless they've got investment capital or retirement funds. So that little audio does the job.
Do you let them know about your $25,000 minimum in your initial conversation, or is that in the audio, or where do you bring that up?
Actually, it's not. Actually, it is in the audio.
Yeah.
The audio does mention the minimum. That's right. No need to talk if you got, $1,000.
I know. I've had people, email me and message me on Facebook. Hey, I just saved up some money. Can I invest $1,000 with you? And I thought that wouldn't even last me an hour in my business. But, I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I mean, I usually have about $1,000 for my minimum. But yeah, people get so excited and they hear about it. Like, sorry, $500,000 isn't going to do it.
Yeah. Well, you've raised a lot of private money. Is what I'm going over here resonating with you?
Absolutely. You pay a little bit lower interest rate than I do, but that is a function of the free market, of the economy, of supply and demand. You have plenty of money, so you don't need to pay a high rate of return. I started out paying 12% for a first position note a few years ago, probably 3-4 years ago. Now our highest rate we pay anyone is 10%. So we're 8 and 10%, and we make it a function of how much someone's investing. So I pay 8% this month. So, don't hold me to it, anyone. You never know. The market changes. 8% on amounts under 100,000, 9% up to 200,000, and we'll pay 10% if it's 200,000 or over. But it is tricky sometimes. It's a little shell game of, if someone does want to invest less than 100 grand, where do I put their money? And it's usually a second position, and they know it. Like, well, you've got a smaller amount, so you're a second position. Someone with $500,000 is going to have a lot more priority of where I put their money. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this has been fascinating. I can't believe we've already been talking over 30 minutes, because I think we could.
Are you serious?
Hour. I know, it's so much fun. I love it. I love
my lands got started.
Well, I'll have to have you back for another show down the road, because I'm sure there's some. It just opens up a whole new world and opportunity. And my personal opinion is, hey, if you're brand new in real estate, don't go out and raise a bunch of money for your first deal if you don't know what you're doing. Get a mentor, get underneath someone else, because you don't want to put other people's money and their life savings and their retirement savings at risk if you don't know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So get experience before you take this route is my, just like you got experience with your own money and your own line of credit before you started calling up everybody in your church, because the church might run you out of town if you took everyone's money and didn't know what you were doing. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, let's talk about the free gifts that we have for people today. So if you come to my site, Jay has generously given for our free download this week a PDF of his book called The New Masters of Real Estate, Getting Deals Done in the New Economy. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So this book that you just referenced, it hit #1 on Amazon under real estate investing about 2 years ago. And so that was pretty cool. I co-authored it with some of my very dear friends that are very successful. So the book gives a great overview of, from A to Z, all the different aspects of real estate investing. And I don't have it today, so maybe when you have me back on, Holly, I've got a new book, brand new book being released this fall that and closed me out. So hopefully you'll come back. There you are. So I got a new book coming out called Where to Get the Money Now. All right.
Oh, I love it.
So that's all going to be about private money, but that'll be later in the fall. So again, this book here that you're offering at your site just gives a nice introduction and overview to real estate investing in single family houses.
I love it. So my listeners, you can get that free download as always on my website at hardhatholly.com. And this week's show is show 66. You're going to go to hardhatholly.com/66. You can also get it by texting Hard Hat with no spaces between it. It's Hard Hat to the number 38470. That's go set up a new text to 38470 and text the word Hard Hat there, and we will send you this download as well as a link to all the past downloads. And now Jay is also offering an audio. So Jay is going to tell us the link where we can go to get the free audio at his site. So Jay, tell us about that. And this is fascinating. Go ahead.
Sure. So I've put together a special audio. It's 60 minutes long, so it's got a lot of content in it. And the title of the audio is How I Raised $2,150,000 in less than 90 days when cut off from the banks. And so on that audio, I go through the 5 steps on getting private money from your warm market. And then I go through the 5 steps of how you get private money from existing private lenders. And so we've got that up at jayconner.com, J-A-Y. Now I'm a weird one. I'm E-R, not O-R. JAYCONNER.com/secrets today, named after Holly's show. Secrets to Real Estate, and that's all in lowercase after the backslash. So jayconner.com / all in lowercase, Secrets to Real Estate.
Perfect. So go there, guys, get that. You get a whole additional 60 minutes of learnings from Jay, and you can tell he knows what he's talking about. What a blessing it's been to have you on our show today. Jay, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I look forward to having you back and teaching us more from what's coming out in your new book. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart and all of our listeners.
Thank you so much, Holly, for having me. And I tell you what, I've been interviewed by a lot of podcasters, but I tell you what, you take the prize.
Oh,
wonderful.
You're so nice.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
To be with you. Thank you for having me on, and I hope you'll have me back.
Oh, definitely we will. And listeners, I'm tired of hearing excuses why you can't make things happen. And Jay just solved a really big problem for people that say they don't have the money. Get a little bit of experience, get it from, working with other people. And then there's pretty much unlimited money. There's more money than you can ever soak up, right? Wouldn't you agree, Jay?
Right now, that's so hard to believe, but I just researched it less than 30 days ago. Right now, just in the United States, individuals that have cash sitting on the sideline, they don't know what to do with it, and retirement money that's sitting in cash, they don't know what to do with it. Right now, 18 trillion with a T of cash sitting out there. And as I said earlier in the podcast, we need to help people solve that problem by sharing with them this wonderful world of private money. And it's a win-win. It's a win for them. It's a win for us.
Amen. I love it. So help these people put their money to work. It's a win-win. You're going to make money. They're going to make money. It's a secure investment. You're securing them with a deed of trust or a mortgage, depending on what state you're in. So get out there. It's your obligation to do this. You have the knowledge and the tools. So get out there and make it happen. I can't wait to hear about all of your success stories, and get out there and have a great day. Bye. Hey there. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like it and click subscribe to get notified of more videos. And you can go to hardhatholly.com for a free download on secrets to finding great deals.